Released in 2008, this romantic fantasy film based on the Stephenie Meyer novel grossed an absolutely crapload of money from horny teenage girls looking to fantasize about Robert Pattinson's gorgeous face. Combined with DVD sales, this epic cinematic masterpiece of broodingly handsome vampires grossed over $500 million. And quite frankly, it should come of no surprise to you since everything about this movie is absolute perfection. Gotcha. April Fools! But actually, all kidding aside, and no joke here, no April Fool's joke, Twilight isn't actually that awful. So let's continue with the review just the same in the sarcastic tone because it's a lot funnier that way. The first in the eventual trilogy of the movies, Twilight is the story of 17-year-old Bella Swan who, besides being total jailbait, moves to a small town in Washington state to live with her father and have premarital relations with a 126-year-old blood-sucking vampire. Played with just the right amount of constipation in her facial expressions by Kristen Stewart, Bella, at her first day at high school, bumps into beautiful co-star and the only person in the movie that can actually act, Oscar nominee Anna Kendrick, who plays some dateless loser nerd at Forks High School. Later, Bella meets Pattinson's character, Edward Cullen, a pale-faced loner who is more awkward around Bella than 24's Chloe O'Brien on her menstrual cycle. With a look on his face that screams, "I need to take a wicked poop right now," Edward skips out of town for a week, and by the time he returns, Bella is seemingly in love with him. Poorly written and acted from the outset, Edward's character is pretty much average. A vampire for over a century, he's able to expertly disguise his true identity and blend in with his fellow teenagers, and win over the love of the human Bella. That is, of course, until she does about an hour of research on Google and discovers that he's really a vampire. But don't worry, he doesn't bite humans. Plus, he also has the ability to read minds, invoke a motion blur effect on command, and sparkle in the sunlight. As cheesy and as pussy-whipped as the vampires in Twilight are, I found this movie to be actually kind of guiltfully enjoyable. Sure, the acting is god-awful at times, the special effects needs a lot of work, and these vampires are nothing like Count Orlok from Nosferatu, but I actually found myself caring about the outcomes of the characters in this story. There is nothing impressive about a single aspect of the movie, but for what it's trying to accomplish, a romantic fantasy film involving vampires for teenage girls, it definitely succeeds here. The story itself of a vegetarian vampire falling in love with a pasty underage girl is also one of the more original plots Hollywood has adapted in a while. Well, that's what I thought about Twilight, for good or for bad, so now let's take a look at what you guys had to say, which was rather negative in the YouTube comments. Gourmet Candy Chef wrote, "A horrible film with horrible acting and a horrible storyline. It gives vampires a bad name, worst movie I've ever wasted time on, and I didn't even sit through the whole thing. 1 out of 10. JRF, What Is It Now, wrote, "A very interesting novel with mysterious characters. However, it does not work well as a movie at all. Questionable scene transitions, uneven performances, and subpar directing make this vampire better off dead." Okay, well, our scores seem to be all over the place for this one, so let's fire up the Rate-O-Matic and see how Twilight did. A 5 and a 1. In a rare instance, my score is actually significantly higher than yours. And Twilight wasn't a great film by any means, but I also didn't think it was nearly as horrible as so many of you were saying. It may have been awkward at times, and the special effects might have been bad, and the story might have been corny, but I was able to actually enjoy a little bit of this film for what it was. I had to score it an alright. You folks vehemently insulted this film, hating everything from the sparkling vampires to Stewart's atrocious acting, scoring it a garbage, lowest score possible.